Well, Julie, let's start with this first question that came in. What problems typically arise with couples dealing with infertility?
All right. So with infertility, typically what happens, depending on what kind of infertility, is that people are depressed. One, two, they're not quite sure how to talk about the fact that they can't have children, or at least temporarily they can't have children. There may be multiple miscarriages. There may be alterations in somebody's actual physiology or body that needs to take place, that is scary, that is challenging. And the biggest problem, I think, is for people to be able to talk to one another about it. They need to be able to have what we call stress reducing conversations. And what that means in the Gottman method is one person is the speaker, the other is the listener. And what the listener is really doing is asking big open-ended questions of the speaker to really find out how they're feeling deep inside about their, temporary, hopefully, inability to have a child, and what the alternatives might be. What their feelings are about artificial insemination or in vitro fertilization and so on. So that people can not only express their thoughts and their ideas, but also their feelings. The other person, the listener, also really needs to empathize. It works a little bit better if you're really zooming in on the questions regarding emotion for this. So the listener is asking, what's the most upsetting thing about this for you? What's your worst case fantasy here? I want to hear it. And then really empathizing with the person's answers and really zeroing in on the emotions of the other person and not trying to minimize those, not trying to reassure the person right out of the emotions. Those emotions are real and they're valid. So really naming the feelings, then empathizing with them and saying, it makes a lot of sense that you're feeling that way, etc. And then changing roles so that the other person also has a chance to be asked questions about how they're doing, how they're feeling, and to receive empathy, love, comfort. So the empathy has to go both ways. And one of the things that often comes up in this is one or the other of them feels like a failure, especially if the physiology points a finger at one partner or the other as being deficient in some way. So you really want to be sure that that pocket of painful shame has been opened up, shared, and then the other person can perhaps offer reassurance. They're not blaming them, they're not holding them accountable, that this is a shared issue, it's something between them. So that type of conversation is super, super important. And then looking eventually, after dealing with the feelings of it, looking at alternatives and being very straightforward and honest about their feelings about those alternatives and what they're willing or not willing to do.